let's just get right into it. We're gonna start with Meagan Good, who played Free. Right there. And she's a co-writer of the film, Samantha Turner. And then
It's Tanner.
what?
Tanner.
Tanner. Okay, well that I was given wrong. I'm sorry. Okay, and then co-writer and director Qasim Basir. There you go. Welcome. Well, tell me about this ride you guys have been on, because this was Sundance really the first kind of blowout for the film, like when it first really got out there and people got to see it and talk about it?
Yes. It's the first time anyone saw it was at
Okay.
Sundance, yeah.
And what was that reception like?
It was I mean, it was the energy in that theater. Y'all remember? It
Yeah.
was like you could cut it. It was special.
It was
I would say.
amazing. Like, it was a lot of support and a lot of love, and it seemed like people were really responding to it and the message, and we got a standing ovation, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So
Sundance.
it was love, you know?
It's nice because I do pay attention. I don't go to Sundance, but I always pay attention, and you start hearing about these films. And then, some of them never get distribution. This one obviously is coming out soon, this week. When's it coming out?
Friday. Yeah.
Friday.
Thanks.
Hashtag share everywhere. Bring everyone.
That's awesome. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you. It was courtesy of Samuel Goldwyn Films. They picked it up after Sundance. So.
Well, the obvious first question is, tell me where all this started, because obviously the election had all of us having lots of feelings, lots of them. But I thought it was such an interesting way to build a film around it, especially a love story. Can you guys just talk about the origins of the idea and the story?
Sure. It actually started as just a love story. So I happened to fall in love. This is my fiance right here. So.
Hey.
Thanks. Thank you. So I tend to write about things that happen to me, and I was at a film festival in New York called Urban World, and with my last film, Destined, and we somebody in the audience was like, hey man, you ever try to do anything light and fun? Your films are kind of heavy, So I was like, that question stuck with me. And while I was in New York, you think about all these people who move to cities to do a thing, and you end up getting caught in these lives of whether it's promoting or serving or whatever you ended up doing. And on the plane ride back, I thought of this story, like, what if a guy had a night, just met someone, strip it down, just the most couple people, one night, one take, can I do something that's just simple? And so the election hadn't happened yet. This was around September of 2016. And so I wrote the initial draft without the election. And these guys signed on, Omari and Meagan signed on before the election happened. I gave it to Sam. She put her nice spin on it before the election. And we were already getting things going.
It was mainly Cass's story at first.
Right.
So it was all told as from his perspective. And so when I looked at it, I was like, where is her voice? Who is she? For those choices to happen at the end of the film, there has to be some kind of push, from her. What's the impetus in it? And I thought that it would be a little more equal if we actually got a chance to see both of their flaws and then their strengths.
Amen.
Yeah. So then the election happened. And I remember calling the producer. He's got an ear thing tonight, but Atari Turner. I called. I remember calling him up. We were at a veggie taco night at my boy's place. I was like, "Yo, this shot," because the election affected us so much, and it's like, what do you do? What's my contribution to the world right now? And well, why don't we make this film take place on that night? And then everything changed from there.
Well, and what were the challenges in putting that in the film? Because it could have easily taken over everything. It's been 2 years, almost 2 years, but still, it's so raw for everybody. And how did you guys challenge that as writers, that it didn't take over?
The election it's a mechanism, but it's not the vehicle that drives it. Ultimately, what drives it is the two of them being mirrors for each other and how they show up in their lives. And so if you notice, I'm sure you probably all have because you're actors and you just lean in on the details, but his name doesn't actually ever come up in their conversation. It's just a canopy that gives us a setting where, think about it, everyone has a story about where they were on that night. And so it instantly takes everything to this level of importance, of urgency, that something has to happen, something is happening right now. And so it becomes just kind of like a skeleton for the characters to move around in. And we always kind of addressed it from that angle.
Well, and then doing the one take, which is amazing, because
Thanks.
I was watching it and I was just waiting for like a close up of like on a back or somewhere where I was like, oh, he cut there.
So I got to
yeah, talk about
acknowledge our director of photography, Stephen Halloran, who's right there.
Hey!
Yeah, this was
Amazing work.
this was one of the hardest things we've both ever done professionally, and it literally was it's all prep. Like it literally, I won't say it's luck or any. It was literally trying to think about everything that could come up. Meagan is hella famous. Like there might be people running up like, "Yo, Meagan," and people were driving by like Ghost, like Omari. It's like, so we got to get extra PAs to play offensive line. Y'all are over there. If you see somebody get that twinkle in their eye coming up to me, block their ass. Like, do all of these things to make sure no one messes up the take. Because we'll be 20 minutes in and you got to go all the way back to the top, back to the food truck. If somebody want to run up and remember that dude tried to holler at you in the line?
Yes.
It's a guy in the line like,
Just like, shh.
sweetheart, can I take a picture, Meagan? I'm like, oh my God, dog. Like you are an extra in the movie. How are you trying to holler at Meagan right now? Like you totally just messed up our take. It happened. Like
it happened a few times. Like literally when we got into the club.
Inside the club.
We had invited a lot of people to come out and we didn't really tell them exactly what we were doing, like the specifics. So when we walked in, they were like, oh. We were like, don't do that. You're on camera. You're on camera. But we got it like, after a few takes. And then there was the whole deal of like, there's that moment when we get out of the club and, me and Amari have this argument and then some guys come over and they start hollering and then Amari comes back over and that becomes a fight and the police come. Then after the police come, then the fans come. Then after the fans come, then comes the lift. And it was like so many different things. And I got to tell you, I think we started that point. We had to go all the way to the beginning.
Yeah.
At least 3 times.
Yeah.
And Amari was like, he was like, honestly, he started doing push-ups. He was like, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't.
Amari.
I was like, it's okay. Just pull it together. We're just going to start from the beginning. We're already 20, 30 minutes in, but we're going to be all right. So, yeah, it was a lot of
everything.
that.
It was all prep. Like, Steve and I became like roommate. He was always at our crib. Like, just
my house
working
wasn't
through.
my house anymore.
Working through, like, every moment, like, what if this happens? What if this happens? We ended up switching clubs, like, 2 weeks before. So we had already walked the other route several times and drove. You stand out there on the night of. You go to the club when it's actually a club. Research, I'm like buying bottles and research. This is research, babe. Like, why are you not home yet, Qasim? Oh, I'm doing research. Like, what are you talking about? We're shooting at a club. Like, of course I got to be at the club every night. What are you talking about? Like,
one time. It worked one time.
Wait, but you guys didn't make it easy on yourselves because you did things like having the bottle service come in with the fireworks.
Like all of that planning. Literally, we were in there. We walked through. We told every step, every moment. Like, all right, you're gonna sit here. Jay is gonna try to hit on you. He's gonna invite you up. You're gonna say no. You'll get another notification. The bottle will come out. Then Omar, you go and talk to her. Y'all will do the mistake kiss. It'll like all of it was straight plan.
Everything was so specific. It was like, all right, at this point the camera's gonna go with Amari. At this point the camera's gonna follow you. And it was like even in that sense, like for me as an actor, I had to memorize almost 70 pages of script.
All of it.
So it's not like
so give it up for them
you do.
For that. Like that.
Thank you.
Like.
But I think the harder thing than memorizing 70 pages, which is like doing a play that you're filming, is you have to literally like improvise about 30 to 40 pages in between the 70 pages that you have to remember. Then remember what the story is about and what's supposed to happen next. And that was left to, okay, if something happens and we have to adjust, but we have to keep going, how do we keep everything being fluid? And so I think that for me was the biggest challenge, but it was like also the biggest reward because it was, it's like jumping off a cliff. It's like you have no safety net, and we in here, so it was amazing.
I wanted to know if you had things timed out really tight, or was it fairly loose? Because there were even times you're walking on stairs, and there were times that you might stop for a second. And I would, in my head, I'm like, oh, I wonder if they're waiting because there's something not set up that we can't see, or so. How timed was everything?
It's a little bit of both. A lot of it was trust in the prep. Like, you know, preparation really does meet opportunity, and it really. Like everything really was timed out. We had like 4 different versions
moments
of
in
the
the script. It had like this will be 2.5 minutes. This will be 3. This will be 1.
Partitioned. But then to a certain degree, because of we couldn't predict the wild nature of an open set in all of the locations, because we had 3 live locations at any one point, and so. With that, you kind of have to be flexible and just present on set, because you never they had to start over how many times at the first location. I'm in the second location, so you kind of always have to be flexible, because it should have started like 5 hours before. So it was a lot of trust.
Did you guys do run-throughs? Did you do like a full day the night before or anything?
Yeah, we did full run-throughs. We did. I'd say all of this stuff was our prep. We did whenever we would lock a location. Omari was still in New York shooting Power, so I'd send photos of the house that we rented, and then have arrows in the house, like, all right, Meagan, this is where you're gonna stand in front of the room and give your, step into your power with your music. The room, this is the rooftop where the fire will be between you guys, like, so they knew by the time they got there. And
well, Meagan, as an actor, I mean, there's a lot of time choreography is a part of it. You have to be a certain place, but this is elaborate.
Oh yeah.
Did it become just like a muscle, like everything else, just kind of knowing where you needed to be, or did you just trust in where Omari was, or what was going on in front of you that we couldn't see?
I think it was, after that, like, we did a full day of rehearsal. We just kept going and going and going and going and going through it. And I think that's really what created the trust, because we knew what each other was going to do to some degree. And there was a little bit of room for error, and not like error like we stop, like error like let's adjust and keep going. But really it was kind of blind faith in each other and in the project, and all of us. So it was one of the most incredible experiences I've had. What
was it like when you got through the whole thing? You knew you were done. What was that like?
It was unbelievable.
We all collapsed into each other.
We kind of collapsed.
What
it was physically very taxing.
Was that Jerry's Deli? Wait, I'm sorry, not
it was
Jerry's
at
Deli. Mel's.
It was at Mel's.
That's where it ended.
We sat there and ate at Mel's.
Yeah.
We did.
The production dinner was at Mel's. We all just ate, and
the rap party was at Mel's.
Well, because I could tell just from in the driving in the car, I could see things going by, and I was like, they're like blocks from my house, and I go to Mel's Diner. I was like, I would have come out and helped you guys if I'd known it was all happening. It was amazing though. But on top of all this, you have to have chemistry with your co-star. You have to make sure all that stuff is working. How much time did you and Omari have to kind of work on that element of it?
I've known Omari since I was probably 17. So back in the day when he used to do poetry at the, I forget the name of the poetry lounge at the time, but basically we would all go, and it was kind of the hangout spot for us that were underage, is the place that we could go and just hang out and speak our mind and speak about issues and things that were happening in the world. And so he was one of the poets there. So I knew him from those days. So I've kind of just like, as we've watched each other's careers as we've gotten a chance to progress. So as soon as literally this project came, I loved Qasim's movie, Destined. I was like, oh, I want to be a part of this. And it wasn't the right situation, so we were like, all right, next thing, it's going to be the next thing. And then when I read this, I was like, man, this is amazing. And then me and Datari started talking about it, and we started talking about it, and then Omari came on board, and I was like, well, there we go. Let's go. So, yeah.
We'll talk about where Free is at the beginning of the movie, because she definitely seems guarded, and And once I got into the movie a little more, I was like, I wonder if she's that way because of what's going on in the world or what's going on in her life, or is it a little of everything? What was your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, Free in a way was running from just the decisions that she was making in life that were not making her fulfilled. She was settling and she was comfortable, and she didn't really feel like she was living up to her purpose and who she was called and created to be. And I think that there was a little bit of frustration over that. I think there was sadness over that. And then on top of that, she was in a relationship that further kind of pinpointed that. And so her being in California was her kind of escaping and having time to think about, what am I supposed to be doing and what am I doing in life? And then, you know, when they come together, it really becomes about them challenging each other. And really, every question that she's asking him is a question that she's asking herself. And as it relates to everything, you know, with the election going on, it's really not about complaining about what's going on. The question is, what are you going to do about it? And as a human being, what is your contribution? What are you going to put into the world that's going to make a difference, that's going to inspire the little boy or the little girl or the other person in general? And how do you have a voice? And I think that was really the challenge and the question that they were asking each other. And those questions seem small and they seem cliche, but really they're life-changing. And I think that's really what the movie is about, as well as being a love story. It's what are you going to do to walk into your purpose, and what are you going to do to have a voice to actually change things, and what are you willing to do, and are you free enough to live in who you think you are supposed to be or know you're supposed to be.
We all have dreams. That's what I took from it the most, and the fact,
yeah.
right?
I think we all have dreams or had dreams, right? Like a lot of us had dreams and don't really believe in them anymore, you know? But I think at some point everyone had some kind of dream. Fortunately, like, you guys are the ones that are actually like living them, you know? Like, I think that's what's I love about this room, is that these are people that, you guys are people that really would get this, and this journey, and this, what this film is really about.
And then one of the moments that really struck me is when Omari first pulls out the phone, and you see he hasn't watched his own movie for like 4 years.
Oh God.
And it really struck something in me, and I'm sure other people could relate to it. It's like, okay, this dream that I had, I either forgot about or put away in a box, and it pops up.
That still gets me every time, man. That's like such a moment. I had such a moment like that between my first and second films, where I didn't know if I would ever do this again. And I think my first film is called Muslim, and I was thanks, brother. Thank you. Thanks, brother. I legit had to like go home for like a month or two, you know, back to my mom's place. And like I was on the couch and Muslim came on TV, and I was like, and that was me, that was my Omari looking at that thing, and he hasn't watched it, and I hadn't seen it in a couple years. And I was just like, damn, I did that movie, you know, I need to get up, and that was like really one of the earlier moments of me really getting back into it. And but that moment, man, it's just every time, because we stopped believing. This town, man, like, and like I really, y'all, and I know y'all get it, but like, what you also got to know is like, there's nothing else like this on earth. There's only LA that's like this, where this concentration of people come to a place to chase a specific dream like this, and like to feel away, sometimes to feel down, sometimes it's normal. You're not like, you're human beings, and that's okay. And sometimes you stop believing, but that's why it's good to have people around that help you believe again. So
I want to do a little plug for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, because that's what this place has been for me. I'm an actor too, actor-writer, and this place, whenever I've gotten lost out here in Los Angeles, has always been a place where I could reconnect, find community, and then also just get inspired. So thank you for having us.
Yeah,
and it's kind of full circle. It's beautiful.
Well, I have a lot of favorite moments in the movie, but one of them is towards the end, when Free just tells him, just do it. But I'm like, sometimes that's all you need, is that little push. Yeah. But if you're not out there seeking other artists and other people that are helping, and so it was a good reminder for me to say, like, ask those people.
What's that script you got to send, man?
I know. I got one. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta go work on this.
But you know, it's funny though. I think people really underestimate the just do it. Like, they really think that everybody has heard it all and everybody's experienced it all. So for them to say it to somebody, it's not going to mean anything or have any weight. And I think that we really miss that sometimes it's the right moment and the right time and it's the right person and you're the right person to say that to somebody. And it really does change their world and it changes their attitude and their mentality and just everything, you know? And so I think that as much as we can, as we feel led, we should be bold enough to say it to anybody, no matter how much we think it falls on deaf ears or it's not important. It is, you know, just like your parents telling you stuff to, you know, all the time when you're a kid, and they know that it's going in one ear and out the other, but somewhere deep in your spirit, it's in there. And when the right time comes, it registers and it comes out. And I think that's how important it is, you know?
Yeah. Talk about the other thing that made it very LA is that they go to this house party and there's all these Hollywood people there.
Yeah.
Like, guys, Kenya Barris, how are you?
Yeah.
Talk about that being a part of it. I mean, it was a fun part, but obviously that was intentional. You wanted to have some cameos like that?
Yeah, so I think several folks have been like, well, I've never seen that demographic of people. Like, well, there's some cool, like, well-off black people that hang out in the hills sometimes. Like, we can see that too, you know. I find that there's been, which I find a lot of it's necessary, but there's been a pretty big celebration of black pain in the last decade or so. And we see ourselves getting beaten and killed and a lot of that, and we're feeling, in real life, a lot of pain, right? So, like, it's okay to see some people that are doing okay and that are, like, you know, and so we wanted to show that, and, you know, like, fortunately, you know, Datari called a lot of those people and got them to the house, which was amazing. He broke out his Rolodex. You know, I called some folks, but like, it just, you know, if people wanted to come and we actually put the real election on the TV to get them primed up.
Had some great discussions in that house before. I wish we had all of that on camera. That was fun.
Because they were like waiting for us. For
Yeah, they were pissed. They were
hours.
like, "What the
It was
hell?
like,
Y'all
they
supposed to
coming
be
in?
party up there.
Because remember, it's real time, so all of them were just waiting while we were down at the club, like starting over and over and over.
Like, they started over
Oh,
again?
no, we'll be up there. Meanwhile, the guy was trying to kick us out the house because, you know, we were like every film, we're like, oh no, it's gonna be it's just a one take. So like, we're just gonna come in with the camera, move around, go to the roof, and then leave, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Like,
And
here comes
he
this
turned
big
off the
ass
light on
truck
us.
pulls up.
Like, when the truck pulled up, we came back outside, he turned off the light on us.
Yeah, turn on.
As
Yeah,
soon as
yeah.
they
Like,
were
we
at the
still
bottom
gonna
of
keep
the
shooting.
hill, they were trying to have us put the fire out, turn off
I was
the
like,
lights.
y'all
and-
better have that fire
and
on by
quiet
the time we
everyone.
get up there.
So they're coming up the hill. I'm like, fire, lights, people.
They're like, we can't have the fire. I'm like, no, they need to have that fire between them in that conversation. Like, while I'm laying down, by the way, I was laying down in the back of the van behind them with my monitor as they were going up. So like, I'm hearing on the radio, like, they're niggas, turn off the fire and get out of the house. It was a lot. That shoot was a lot.
Well, I have to ask, towards the end, when you finally see the movie, when you watch it on this phone, what are you actually watching? Because the emotions that cross your face are beautiful, right? But what were you watching, or what were you kind of channeling? Because I didn't know if you actually were watching something or if you were just going somewhere.
I actually wasn't watching anything.
Pure talent right there. Watching a black screen.
Thank you.
I'm for real. I got to give you props, man. Meagan did an amazing job in this, man. I'm
Thank
so
you.
proud of you.
Thanks, guys. No, I was just thinking about everything. You know, I think sometimes as an actor, you're either thinking about something else or you're present in the moment. It just depends on what tool you're grabbing out of your toolbox in that moment and what makes sense. And for me, I just was thinking about everything, and I just was overwhelmed with what the film was about the message, about what we got a chance to put into the world, about us as, you know, as a family, and just everything. And so, yeah, I was just overwhelmed with the experience, and I just wanted it to come to life and be truthful. So that's what I was thinking of in that moment. Yay,
It did.
amen.
It worked. Yeah, it was really great. So, obvious question. What do you guys hope people take from the film? What do you want people to walk away from with?
I want people to send their proverbial script, whatever that is for you, right? Like, whatever that means in your perspective journey. I think art, man, like this thing here, the screen, your TV at home, the movie theater, like people are inviting you into their home when they're watching a thing that you say to say anything you want to them about anything that could literally change their mind or their heart about something or someone, about a person that they might discriminate against. You could literally change the way they feel about that person by saying something that resonates, by a song that moves them. And so like, for me, I am just, what's happening right now in I am just every day, like we are seeing things that we never thought. We were like, wait a minute, we look up and there are children in cages. Like that is like our life right now. And who knows what's next. So like, if anything, I would love for people to say whatever they've been wanting to say, and whatever their script is to send, whatever their movie is on that little screen, I'd love for people to do that.
I think mine is, sometimes it's really hard to ask the tough questions, and then you don't always have to have the answers, but by asking the questions, it triggers the pursuit of the answer. Yeah. So like, I want to engage, I want people, every soul that gets a chance to see this film, to engage in their community and the people around them, to hold everyone accountable and how they show up in their lives and in their contribution to this world. I'd really hope that sparks a conversation in a community that expands relationships and goes a little, that cut deeper for each one of you.
Yeah, I would say that mine is the same, you know. I think that we just have such a responsibility to be bold and to be like, whatever passion we have inside of us, that's a part of who we literally are supposed to be. And I think that a lot of times with everything that's going on in the world, we feel so helpless and we feel like we can't do anything and we feel like our voice doesn't count because it's just one voice. And I think that, you know, it's funny because like Tupac said something about this. You know, he said he may not be like the revolution, but he will be the thing that sparks it, or the thing that sparks the person that sparks it. And so I think having an attitude of like, your voice is enough in itself to spark a revolution, a conversation, a call to action, and all of that. And the way to do that is to literally live in your passion and to speak and to think and to do, and whatever it is that you can contribute to the world the way that you feel that it should be contributed. Just like, you know, again, with film, it's like, it seems like a small thing, bless you, but it seems like a small thing, but this small thing filters out into the rest of the entire world, and it does change the way that you see the world and the way you think about things and you move about things. So I think that our one voice is so much bigger than we can ever really realize, and our contribution is so much bigger than we can ever really realize, even if we leave this earth not knowing how much it impacted somebody. So yeah, I would want people to just take away from it that their one voice is enough if you're living in purpose and in truth.
So there's a piece about that she said that I want to expound upon, that it filters out into the world. And that part is the part where I'd love for the film to go and open and do well, and for a lot of people to see it. And so if you enjoyed this movie, maybe tweet about it, put Instagram, whatever, like that stuff really helps, you know. However many followers to see it. We don't have a big marketing budget. Thank you, sir. Where you going? He's like ready to go. He's like, shit. I'm like, we going with you, bro? You going to dinner? It's dinner on my man tonight. He's got.
I gotta get started now.
But yeah, that stuff matters.
Lines, you're a smart man.
We don't have all the big billboards on Sunset, but we have a lot of times the best movies are through word of mouth and social media, and like people talking about what it meant to them. So like that would be great. And towards our Friday opening. So
yeah, make some noise. Well, we do have some audience questions. I think we have time. Nobody's given me the wrap-up signal yet. Where's Mike? Mike Chubb. There's Mike. Mike wanted to know, how would the story have been impacted if the election had gone the other way?
That's a
damn.
I wish I'd come up with that.
I thought I heard every question. I actually wouldn't.
That's a great
have put it in there. Probably.
It would have
been.
It would have
stayed
that
that fun love story. It would have probably
still
just.
Fun and
it would have.
loving,
It would have been cool. It would. I think it would have still been amazing because what they did is just mad. I think the dance. I call it a dance that they had. It was a beautiful dance. The push and pull. It was just, and I think that was strong enough on its own. And but you know, it's interesting you say that because I think a lot of stuff and a lot of people maybe wouldn't have stood up if it weren't for the way the election went. So if we're looking at a silver lining in it, there are several people who were like, you know what, I need to do something. And so in this way, this film is kind of similar to that.
This question's for Meagan. Where's Tiffany? Hey, Tiffany. I guess this doesn't really apply for this film, but when you have downtime in between takes, how do you
Not on this film.
I don't know on anything but
good.
this. How do you keep yourself focused, and how do you kind of get yourself back on track when you have to get back in front of the camera after maybe an hour or two's break?
Well, if I can get a nap, I try to get a nap. But other than that, I just, I don't stay in it all the time. Sometimes I just pull myself back into it when the time comes, because if you stay in it for too long, sometimes it takes the natural instinct and kind of magic out of not knowing exactly what you're going to do, and it's just coming out, and it's real because you're present. But yeah, I just try to be, honestly, for me, in between scenes, I try to be a positive person that people like to work with. I try to be helpful and kind. I try to make sure the set is a positive and good and great environment, if I can. And that's kind of my energy while I'm there. I just want people to enjoy themselves and look at every single experience that we get to be actors as a blessing. And there's so many, times in between where we don't know when our next job is going to come. And it's such a gift to be able to do what we do. So for me, it's just about being grateful, humble, and making sure that I give that on the set that I'm on, because you never get that moment back in life. You never get that time back in life. So to be there when you're away from your family and you're away from your friends and you're around these people that you don't really know, and you're getting to know them in that moment, and you may only know them that well for that moment, for that month or that 5 months or whatever, I just try to make it like a moment in life that I'm present in, and that is positive for me and for them. And then, yeah.
Got time for one more. AJ Billions. This question for Samantha, it could probably apply to both of you. What's your writing process like for this project? And I'm always curious how, when people write scripts together, how they work.
Each story is completely different. And so speaking specifically on this process, we write in dialogue. So we write in relationship to each other. But separated. Like we have to write, like he'll usually do a pass, I'll do a pass, or we'll write in separate rooms or separate locations across the city. Because like if we're sitting side by side, then we get into like deep discussions. And
I'm so mad.
So yeah,
No, I'm joking.
yeah, he gets very possessive with his
It's
words.
but I let that go. I let my ego, like, you got ego, you got to recognize it. Oh, that's my ego.
But
talking.
he challenges me because I have to
be
make sure I come in strong with why something needs to change. Or when it's like, but that's how we work together. Solo wise, it goes back to music really helps. I usually only write what triggers me and what's in my what's most present in my mind. But then also, like, I really get inspired by people, and I love storytellers, and I love film, and I love just people have stories. So I like to co-write a lot, because then I get a chance to just really see and support other people's visions coming to life. And that's really thrilling. So it's really organic. I don't really have a set something. I have final draft, but sometimes I'm in the car and I'll dictate some stuff, and then I'll have to transcribe it. I just write wherever I can. I'm a big journaler, so and then that comes from. So usually when I'm writing characters, I'll journal for days, weeks, from that person's perspective. Before, and none of that actually ever. Some of it never even touches the page. But I kind of have like that Virginia Woolf, like stream of consciousness. Don't worry about punctuation, run-on sentences, paragraphs, just get it all out there. And then somewhere around there, when I get into dialogue phase, it becomes a perspective shift.
I go a little crazy when I write.
He disappears.
I like, and it's tough to get into a story, especially like a there's a thing that we're writing now. It's a little darker. But like, I mean, I'm driving around listening to this crazy music. Like this, like, it's like a weird music, you know, you can't even find it. Like, I wouldn't even know what to call it, but I'll drive around on the 405 and then get myself to a place, and then I start dreaming about it, and then I finally, when I'm writing it, I just kind of get into the story, and
then he stops actually using words. He doesn't he forgets.
Yeah, I start mumbling. I don't know.
He starts mumbling, so he just
weird.
loses communication. And so I'm
but
like,
I get a first draft out very fast, because a lot of it is the prep for getting the draft out. I have several ideas. Some of them stick, and then some of them are like, oh no, that has to be written.
You guys make some noise about this movie on social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks everybody for being here.